This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to talk about Digi-Burst, which is a new keyword that comes in BT4. Not only are we going to talk about how it works and a couple combos that I can see right off the bat with it, but how, in my opinion, it's going to change how we play the game and put a lot of stress on the raising area, just with how the timings work and just how these new skills kind of work in general. So jumping on into it, what is it? It's essentially just a keyword. For example, on Nidhoggmon, it has Digi-Burst 4, so to activate this effect, you have to take 4 sources underneath Nidhoggmon and place them in your trash to get the effect for it. And then also there's 2 timings for this effect right now. It's either when Digivolving, for example, on Nidhoggmon, or main Devimon. And I think the second timing, the main timing, is the more important one, the one we want to put more focus on, just because we've already had, when Digivolving effects previously, like a lot of good effects are when Digivolve, and that's not super new, and honestly it just adds an additional cost, right? And so, for example, this Nidhoggmon, you can't just play a level 5 and the next turn just Digivolve the Nidhoggmon on top of it and get this really good effect. You have to really go into the guy and have all your sources there. So I think that's something to be aware of. But the main effect, main timing for like this Devimon, and for example, I think is way more important. And to kind of show my point, we're going to look at another card, but we're going to look at these 2 WarGrowlmon. So the one on the left is the one that came out in BT2. We've known this guy for a while. It's when Digivolving, you play 1 yellow tamer card from your hand without paying its memory cost. Its on play effects don't get activated. Pretty standard card, pretty good, just the fact that it's able to play a tamer for free. And really is one of the backbone cards for WarGrowlmon as we know it. But then on the right, we have this new WarGrowlmon, which not only is it red and yellow, which is kind of nice to have that hybrid, but it has Digi-Burst instead. So main Digi-Burst, trash 2 this Digimon's evolution cards to activate the effect below. You may play a red or yellow tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. So I think that's really good, and I think the fact that it's a main Digi-Burst 2 instead of just a when Digivolving has some cool effects, and let me show you with some better examples with it. All right, so let's say we're starting the game. We went second. Our opponent gave us 1 memory, so we'll hatch our egg here, and then we'll say, okay, cool. We'll go Patamon there. We draw a card, go Tureimon, go to 0, and then we're kind of in this weird spot, right? Because we can go, WarGrowlmon is kind of tempting because we want to be able to go up their chain a little bit more, but we don't get the when Digivolving for it because it's in the raising area. We could hard cast TK or something there, and then give our opponents 4. But then we also don't get like the being able to play this for free either. So like we're in a kind of a weird situation with the old one. But let's say instead we can go into our new WarGrowlmon here. And so we can just go Digivolve into it, even though we're in the raising area. We don't have a one Digivolving effect, which is fine. And then let's say, opponent does something, passes it back to us. So we can just raise this the next turn. We can do the Digi-Burst there, get rid of those 2 guys to just play our TK for free. And then also TK gets to use this effect, so we can search, sure, we'll get another WarGrowlmon to our hand. Or probably, what, we're going to get this tamer there to our hand. Bam. And then from there, we're able to, in recovery 1, boom. And then just go from there straight into our WarGrowlmon too. So being able to do that, and then, we can rest this, and then if, we still have our Patamon underneath here too. So even though we only have 1 source, Patamon's probably one of the best sources for this deck. Being able to pop something, and then gain a memory back too, so maybe put us at 2 or something like that. So that's just like example for it. And you can see that just being able to be flexible of how you play this, really helps you out too. And so I think that's kind of the reason. I think the raising area can be really handy because you kind of want to keep it in there. So for example, let's go back. Let's say we want here, where's the egg? There's the egg. So we'll put that, let's say we go first, right? We're kind of going to be put in the same situation too. So we'll go Patamon there, and then we'll just go Tureimon, put your opponent to 1. They do something to put us to like 2 or something, right? And then we're in this kind of spot, right? Because if we only have this WarGrowlmon, then we're like, okay, cool. Well, I kind of want to play this guy, and I kind of I need something to do this turn, right? So I'll go, here, I'll raise it up, and then I can do WarGrowlmon, get a TK out, put them to 1 or something like that, right? but that also leaves this entire stack kind of vulnerable to our opponent doing something too, right? And so sure, we can go into Shine Greymon next turn, but if they're able to pop this somehow, it's Chimeramon, Trump Sword, or something like that, then we just lost a bunch of value on this guy, and we have to kind of go up our chain from start, which we also don't have anything in our raising area too, because we'll just have like no Digimon left to really interact with any of that. So instead, let's say we go back, our opponent puts us to 1 back on our turn. What we can instead do is we can just go back into this Rize Greymon here, go 2, and then being able to next turn, go from there, just raise this safely, then use its Digi-Burst effect to, do the same thing, Turimon and Upamon there to play the TK for free, and then go into our Shine Greymon, and we're safe, right? This whole interaction was safe and can really help you out. So that's both, 2 examples for that. Though I will say it's not all pluses too, because if you've noticed, you get your Tamer out a turn later, which means that, your opponent can memory choke you 1 more 2 turn earlier, though TK for sure. You do, the balance is that you get to actually draw a card from using his effect with the red Rize instead of the yellow Rize. But if you need more Tamers out, quicker or something like that, obviously the regular Rize Greymon can be helpful. But I think I hope this kind of showed that being able to use Digi-Burst as a main can really help you do some combos, which are really cool. Just being able to say, okay, I'll play a Tamer for free, and they'll go into Shine for free, or, afterwards. Because not having to pay memory for these effects, and essentially playing, on your turn for 0 memory at the time, a Tamer card for this deck could be really, really powerful. So with that out of the way, I kind of just want to show off some more kind of combos with these cards that I immediately see. Hopefully get you guys thinking about some decks and some stuff you want to do with this next set. And really get going with it. So first, I want to talk about almost all the colors have these support rookies. It's just a rookie that just says, when this card is trashed due to activating this Digimon's Digi-Burst, return it to the owner's hand. So this can be really good. Like, it's essentially a draw 1 in a lot of ways, especially since rookies are probably one of the most valuable cards in the game, especially since if you Digi-Burst, that means just next turn you have a guaranteed rookie to go into your next egg and stuff like that. So I think these are all very powerful at what they do and can really help you out. Yellow doesn't have one. I don't know why. I honestly don't think yellow needs one, because I think yellow has some of the most broken Digi-Burst combos in the game. Even though it doesn't have a lot of Digi-Burst, some of the ones that it does have are just super duper strong. But every other color has their own version of this right now. So if you're playing a heavy Digi-Burst centric thing, or if you just need some room for another rookie, just being able to have this, being able to go back to your hand and guarantee rookies for your later eggs can be really, really handy. All right, so probably one of my favorite combos and probably the most well-known, to me at least, is this WarGrowlmon / Angemon combo. So it's kind of the same thing as what I was showing with the Shine Greymon, where you really want to keep this guy in your raising area, just because you want to be able to have this effect go off when you want to. So let's just say you have, you Digivolve into WarGrowlmon, you keep it in its raising area, you pass it to your opponent's turn, right? Your next turn, what you can do is you can raise this out, and then assuming it still has its full stack because it was in the raising area, what you're able to do is you can Digi-Burst for 2, so you can give something minus 4k, which is great. You can pop a rookie or maybe like a low champion, and then you can go into /Angemon, which for 3, which it has a Digivolution cost, so being able to give something 4k and then something else 8k is pretty good, but just being able to give something 12k in general is an absurd amount of negging a power level, just because most cards that are level 6 or lower only have 12k. So being able to do this is great in so many ways. And then if you have a Patamon, you can also gain a memory back, so it only costs 2 memory to go into the slash. You can maybe stay in your turn and everything. And it's just very, very powerful for being able to flexibly clear your opponent's board. So if they go big, you can pop their 1 dude. If they go wide, you can pop 2 of their dudes. And it can really be really oppressive in that kind of way. And then also, since yellow does now have a level 7 to go into afterwards, that can also just, put the top on top of it and just go from there. You do 2 more minus 7Ks, and you can probably, pop 2 more of your opponent's things as well. So I think this is probably one of the most foundations of Digi, like one of the most simple but effective Digiverse combos we're going to see. It can be really oppressive and very, very good combo for this kind of idea. Moving on to some other colors, so we're going to go to red real quick. We kind of talked about Rize already, but being able to use this effect to play a Tamer can be really good. And then, on top of that, we've got Victory Greymon, which you can, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8k DP or less. It is when Digivolving, which kind of sucks. Sometimes, it's not being able to be flexible is kind of weird. But 8k doesn't seem like a lot, and kind of looking at it the first time, like, this isn't too much, but it essentially pops any 5k, which is honestly, or not 5k, anything level 5 or lower. So being able to, like, if your opponent and you both have like a level 5 that you're going into, being able to just say, okay, I'll play Victory Greymon, and sure, I Digi-Burst 2, but being able to pop literally anything 5 or less on my opponent's side can be pretty good. I'd say Victory Greymon is better when you're already ahead. You can't really, but it's still a pretty good card there, especially since it doesn't minus it by 8k. It just pops it if it's 8k or less, but I think that's fine. And then also we've got WarGrowlmon. I really like WarGrowlmon with this, though. I think it helps out the deck a lot. WarGrowlmon was cool, but I think, one, Red got some new tamers, which are really nice. But also, you kind of didn't really have the space or time to really play these Red tamers. And so being able to have Rize in your hatch area, say, okay, cool, I'll raise it, Digi-Burst for 2, get my tamer out for free, which is really nice. And then use WarGrowlmon to Digivolve on top of that, to pop anything. If you do have the Red tamer in play, but you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6k DP or less, which should KO most of their level 4s or lower, and maybe a level 6, depending on what it is. But I think that can be really helpful. And then also, WarGrowlmon's a big bully a lot of the time too. Just being able to have this when attacking, trash one of your opponent's security cards for every 10 cards in their trash can be pretty scary to go up against too. So I think it's cool that this has a way to make WarGrowlmon relevant too, and just I think Rize Greymon was a really good decision to fix and help a lot of kind of decks as well. Yellow obviously has the Shine Greymon stuff, but we've talked about that enough for this video. Next up is Blue. Blue has some interesting things. I think the real good combo is the WarGrowlmon and theegmangames. So they both have a Digi-Burst of 2. WarGrowlmon is a main, which is great. So you return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to their hand, then trash all their devolution cards. And then also theegmangames, when Digivolving, Digi-Burst for 2, return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to their owner's hand, then trash all devolution cards on top of that, underneath that Digimon. So being able to, so let's just say you have WarGrowlmon in your raising area, you raise it up, you're able to say, okay, Digi-Burst for 2, so you go down to just this guy and one of your cards underneath it to pop one of your opponent's cards back into their hand, and then you can just immediately Digivolve into theegmangames. So that means you get to get rid of 2 of your opponent's cards on the board, 1 5 or less, 1 4 or less. You only have theegmangames left, there's no sources underneath it, but being able to just do both these for essentially 4 memory and developing the board at the same time can be really, really good. So I think this is a nice combo for the archetype as well, which is also good. We also have WarGrowlmon, which is good because it has a gain 1 memory card for every 4 cards in your opponent's hand. And sure, bouncing cards back to your opponent's hand is not as good as like popping them, but if you get rewarded for your opponents having big hand sizes, which there is an archetype in the set for it, bouncing back to hand can be good because it can have go from 7 cards to 8 cards. Then you can play this WarGrowlmon for only 2 memory and just keep your turn. So I think that can be really handy. I also want to talk about Blue real quick. Probably one of the bigger ways to counter all these Digi-Bursts. So if it becomes really popular, yellow or mostly blue, but Shikuamon's blue essentially. But Blue probably has one of the best ways to disrupt or gain advantage from it because they have all that source destruction and everything else, devolution, source destruction, and Shikuamon also, having if all your opponent's Digimon with no devolution sources gain security attack -1, which can be really powerful too. So I think I just want to mention that real quick here because I think Blue has a way to just counteract Digi-Burst really well and can be really obnoxious, right? Because even like this WarGrowlmon and theegmangames, you end the combo with no Digivolution sources left. So if you bring out your WarGrowlmon out a little bit too early, you can delete some of the sources underneath there and you can't use the Digi-Burst anymore, which can really be detrimental to kind of combos like this. Next up, we've got Green. I think Green got some of like the more like just generic, both Lilamon and Hercules Kabuterimon. It's just active main Digi-Burst 2, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It's super good. Being able to suspend your opponent's Digimon for 0 memory is amazing. Even if your offense, control, mid range, any 3 of those forms of decks will just really help from it. Hercules Kabuterimon is especially amazing because it has piercing. So you can just do Digi-Burst for 2, rest something, and not only do you pop something with your opponents, but you get piercing on top of it. So I think that's going to be a really oppressive control strat. There's also the new card from the set from his starter deck too. That it's a Kabuterimon that if you're able to KO something by swinging into it, your opponent just trashes one of their security cards too. So this gets like a security attack +1. Unless as long as you don't trash that card underneath your sword, your card. But I think this card is amazing. Lilamon's the same way, and then Nidhoggmon is potentially really good. I know a lot of people are worried that it has a devolution cost of 5, which is kind of scary, and it's a Digi-Burst for 4, and also with only 1 hidden potential, active right now, being able to put in your deck, it can be kind of tricky to get this off, but it is a potential board wipe, which is really, really good. Suspend all of your opponent's Digimon of 5k DP or less, then place all of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of their decks in any order. Trash all devolution cards of these Digimon. So if they just swing in really good, or if you like preface it with a Puppetmon the turn before, and then you can just go into this afterwards, it can be really good. I think Green has probably the best potential to take advantage of this, just because they can go into some really fast and quick and low memory devolutions with just how the archetype works and how the color works. So I think that can also be really, really handy for the archetype as well. And it has a lot more support than what I'm showing here. I think Green's probably going to be like the premier Digi-Burst color, but every color does get some bonuses from it. Next up, we've got the black Digi-Burst cards. I actually do like the black ones a lot. There's some cool variants with them. Baboongamon has some really fun. I think this is probably one of the best D-Digivolve cards we have. So main Digi-Burst for 2, trigger D-Digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon with play cost of 7 or less. So it can just like disrupt your opponent for 0 memory, which is really nice. Which can help you. Like, black doesn't have any ways to really disrupt the memory gain. It doesn't have a lot of ways to gain memory, and it doesn't have like a lot of ways to like disrupt your opponent besides the Digivolve. So being able to just use this for 0 memory yourself is really good, and then Gogomon on top of it is okay. Being able to gain the boost until the end of your opponent's turn is nice, especially since even if you go Baboongamon into Gogmon, you'd still have 1 source left, so you can use this once, which is kind of nice. And then we also have this promo Black WarGrowlmon, which is just main Digi-Burst 2. You can unsuspend this dude. So this is essentially a triple attacker, which is super nice. Can really help out the archetype having a really good finisher as well, which I think the archetype's just missing in general. So this can just put some fear in your opponent, like, oh, do they have Black WarGrowlmon? Can they kill me this turn? And it can be really effective there. So I think this is a really good promo. And black might have some fun new tools to use next set. And then we also have purple. Purple has some also really good cards. I think green, purple, and black were kind of the colors they decided that need some more boost. And obviously they have their starter decks that are coming out too, which half these guys are coming from. But it's definitely geared towards these colors a lot as well. So we've got the Ceres Garurumon that comes from the starter deck. Just security attack +1, which is kind of nice. And main Digi-Burst 2. Play 1 purple level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its memory costs. So being able to just do that for free is good. Being able to do this potentially twice for free is really good. Of course, there's a devolution cost of 4, so it's going to be hard to do it on your own turn, but we do have Jack Rage, which will help it, which is super nice. And then also, let me talk about WarGrowlmon actually real quick. So WarGrowlmon is a promo. Main Digi-Burst for 2, use a purple option card with memory cost of 7 or less in your hand without paying its memory cost. That sounds like absurd on its face, and it probably is. It's going to be hard to tell if it's going to be too slow for that to be, but like honestly, the amount of tempo you get from that is good. Purple has some really, really good option cards. Here's 4 of them. So Trump Sword obviously is really good. Being able to play Trump Sword for like being able to play like a Gaia Force for 0 is really good. So that can help you out a lot. I also like Nailbone, which comes out with the new star deck. You may play 1 purple level 3 Digimon and 1 purple level 4 Digimon from your trash without playing their memory cost. And I don't want you to be like, but Eggman, what if I don't have those cards in my trash? You can literally put those cards from underneath your Garurumon into your trash to play Nailbone, and you can get them back out, which is just absurd to be able to do that. I think it has like a lot of functionality there, and it can be really scary. And then we also have Necrophobia, which is kind of the same thing. play one level 5 Digimon from your trash without playing its memory cost. So think about like potentially like just having WarGrowlmon out. You have it in your raising area. You start your turn. You bring it out. You use Digi-Burst twice with it for Nailbone and Necrophobia. So you pretty much play all the sources underneath it for free, and then it's still your turn. Sure, the 3 things can't attack, but you still have memory to go from there, which is just crazy in my mind. I think it's going to have its own archetype in that way. I think people are going to try to play this very hard, and there's good. Like, even Heat Viper, like Heat Viper is super good. Being able to say, okay, cool, I'll Digi-Burst for 2. I'll play Nailbone, get 2 guys out, and then I'll say, cool, I'll Heat Viper on top of that, which you can just pop your 3-drop and then pop your opponent's cards too. It's just, I think there's a lot of value from here, and I'll be interested to see if anyone's able to make a really consistent deck with all these cards. Obviously, the option cards can make it a little bit tricky and a little bit bricky, but I think purple also has like a lot of cycle in the deck, and it's probably one of the best colors to have this kind of theme and archetype. So I'm going to be interested to see how it works. And that's pretty much it. So I think in general, kind of how I started with these skills and these effects are going to just change how we play the game. We're going to have a lot more kind of combo setup phase, especially with keeping stuff in the raising area. We're going to sacrifice, tempo and card draw just to have like this really, really good effect that, your opponent can't really interact with on their turn. I also think, kind of as I said before, cards like Shakuomon will be really powerful to really get in the way of these, no source decks. And, blue source destruction will potentially have some more shining, just because a lot of decks will, if a lot of these decks that take advantage of Digi-Burst do it at a cost of, not having cards underneath, not having any sources essentially. And I also like this effect, these cards too, because it's something that you have to, as someone else would say, play the game as it's intended. I know a lot of people don't like Rookie Rush, and I know a lot of people don't like Megazoo, and these Digi-Burst effects are a little bit harder to abuse in those decks, just because you have to actually Digivolve to get these effects off to have sources to Digi-Burst. So I think that's kind of cool, and I hope people take advantage of that and recognize that these are cool effects that promote, I guess, the standard way to play, but I also think it's in a way that doesn't detriment Rookie Rush or Megazoo too hard. I think it just makes it different to play against, and maybe puts them on the same kind of level, that kind of idea. So that's going to be it. I probably talked about this for a little bit too long, but I hope you guys got something from it. I hope you guys got some ideas for decks you want to make for BT4. If there's any decks you want me to try out from the ideas or anything like that, please let me know. I'll try my best, and that'll be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.